I'm sitting in a room that is exactly 12 feet long and 10 feet wide. The walls are painted a sterile, lifeless beige, and the air always smells faintly of industrial bleach and boiled cabbage. This room is not my home. It is room 412 at the Shady Pines Transitional Care Facility. Just 7 months ago, I owned a 4-bedroom, 2-story Victorian house with a wraparound porch and a garden I had tended for 42 years. I owned it free and clear. It was my sanctuary, my museum of memories, and my fortress against the cold of old age. But I gave it away. I sold the bricks, the wood, the soil, and every memory my late wife and I built, all to write a single check to the one person I loved more than life itself, my son, David. I thought I was saving him. I thought I was doing what a good father does, laying down my life so my child could walk over me to a better future. But what he did with that money, what he did to me after the check cleared, it didn't just break my heart, it erased me. To understand the depth of my foolishness, you have to understand the illusion I lived under for 50 years. My wife Martha and I were born to a generation that believed suffering for your children was the quietest, purest form of love. We were not wealthy. I taught history to bored teenagers. Martha worked part-time at the local library. But we built a kingdom for David. Do you know what a kingdom built on sacrifice looks like? It looks like a father wearing dress shoes with holes in the soles so his son can have brand new cleats. It looks like skipped vacations, patched winter coats, and eating meatloaf 3 nights a week so the college fund never misses a deposit. We bought our house in 1981. I laid the oak hardwood floors in the living room with my own 2 hands. I know exactly which floorboard near the fireplace groans when the temperature drops. I know the exact spot on the kitchen door frame where we marked David's height in faded black ink year after year until he towered over me. When Martha passed away 5 years ago, the silence in the house was deafening, but I stayed. I kept the house pristine. I kept the garden blooming. I told myself, Elias, you are holding on to this for David. This is his legacy. I believed, with every fiber of my being, that the love you pour into your children is stored in a vault, waiting to be returned when you are too frail to stand on your own. I believed the family bond was a sacred, unbreakable contract. I was a fool. It happened on a Tuesday in late October. The leaves were just starting to turn the color of rust. David hadn't visited in person for 8 months. Phone calls were scarce, usually 5-minute conversations wedged between his morning commute and his first meeting. So when his luxury SUV pulled into my driveway and he walked up the steps holding a store-bought cherry pie, a cold knot formed in my stomach. I ignored it. I was just so desperate to see my boy. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. I remember the sharp smell of his expensive cologne clashing with the scent of the stale coffee I was brewing. He didn't look at my eyes. He looked at his hands. He looked at the floorboards. Then he delivered the pitch. His business was failing. Not just a temporary slump, but a catastrophic collapse. The bank was going to foreclose on his home. His wife was threatening to leave. He was crying, real heaving sobs that shook his shoulders. Dad, he choked out, grabbing my weathered hands. I'm going to lose everything. You're the only one who can save me. He proposed a plan. He said if I sold the house, I could give him the capital to save his company. In return, he would buy a beautiful property in the suburbs with a sprawling first-floor master suite built just for me. It's just wood and glass, Dad, he pleaded, wiping his face. Family is what matters. We'll finally be under one roof. Just you, me, and the grandkids. I'll take care of you. I promise. I didn't even hesitate. How could I? When your child is bleeding out in front of you, you don't ask the price of the bandages. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork. The smell of the notary's office, stale peppermint and toner ink, still makes me nauseous. I packed 42 years of my life into 30 cardboard boxes. When the moving truck pulled away, I stood on the porch one last time. I touched the faded ink marks on the kitchen door frame. I whispered a quiet apology to Martha. David drove me to this facility. He told me it was strictly temporary. "Just 3 months, Dad," he said, patting my shoulder as he carried my 2 suitcases into this beige box. "Just until the new house is ready. I'll visit every weekend." He hugged me. I smelled the leather of his jacket. Then the door clicked shut. The first month, he called twice. The conversations were rushed. "Still sorting out the contractor. Dad, super busy. Love you." The second month, the calls stopped. I would call him, listening to the dial tone ring 4 times before the automated voicemail picked up. My messages started as cheerful check-ins. They slowly devolved into pleading. Then, 2 months ago, I received a piece of returned mail. I had sent a birthday card to my grandson. It came back stamped, "Returned to sender. No longer at this address." I panicked. I thought David was dead. I thought the bank had taken his house. I badgered the nurses here to help me use the computer to search for him. He wasn't dead. He wasn't bankrupt. We found his wife's social media page. With the money from my house, David hadn't saved his business. He had closed it. He used my money, my sanctuary, my Martha's garden, my life's work to buy a $2 million beachfront condominium in Florida. There were photos of them, clinking champagne glasses on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The caption read, "New beginnings, leaving the past behind." There was no first-floor master suite. There was no plan to bring me under one roof. The past he was leaving behind was me. When the reality of what he had done washed over me, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. You expect a betrayal of that magnitude to feel like a knife in the chest. It doesn't. It feels like all the oxygen is suddenly sucked out of the room. It feels like you cease to exist. I sit in this beige room, listening to the coughing of dying strangers through the paper-thin drywall, and I have had nothing but time to dissect my life. I am speaking to you now, the parents watching this. The mothers holding down 2 jobs, the fathers driving broken-down cars so your kids can have the best. Listen to me, and listen carefully. Do not mistake financial martyrdom for good parenting. We have romanticized the idea of sacrificing ourselves until there is nothing left but bone and ash, expecting our children to sweep up the ashes and hold them close. They will not. When you cut off your own limbs to feed your children, they do not thank you for the meal. They look at you, bleeding and crippled on the floor, and they resent you for being a burden. They will take your house. They will take your savings. They will take the marrow from your bones if you offer it to them with a smile, because you have taught them that your comfort means nothing, and their desires mean everything. I loved my son so much that I shielded him from consequence his entire life, and because he never learned what it cost to build a life, he had no problem destroying mine to fund his. I am 82 years old. I have no home. I have no savings. And worst of all, I have no son. Protect yourselves. Keep your home. Keep your security. If your children truly love you, they will build their own kingdoms, and they will want you sitting safely in yours. Do not end up in room 412, listening to a plastic clock tick away the last hours of your life, waiting for a knock on the door that you and I both know is never going to come.